Hi, everybody. Welcome back. And I'm going to do a prophetic tour of Jordan. I'm going to show you the Holy Land. And I just got to go on a work trip, and I went to Jordan, and my wife came along with me, which is really nice. And I'm going to show you pictures of everywhere we went and how it relates to the Bible. And I'm going to show you on the map these same places. And as I do that, I'm going to tie in certain scriptures that's going to pull it all together. I'm going to show you travel patterns of our Messiah in the past and the future, as well as different people groups as these events happen. So just a general overview of the map. This is Israel over here. We got the Mediterranean. Then we've got, this is Jordan. And then down here is Saudi. And then over here is Iraq. And then Egypt would be down here. But I'm going to start with, here's your Dead Sea. And we flew into Oman. And then the very first thing we're going to go to is Madaba. So I'm going to talk about that here right now. Okay, so we began our trip by flying into Amman, Jordan. And this is us on the plane down. That's over Greece. As we're coming down or entering the Med. This is the lobby of our hotel. It was a beautiful 5-star hotel. Here's our bathroom. This is downtown Amman. That's the Ritz across the street. And this is some treats they had in the cafe down in the lobby. We meant to buy one of these. We just forgot. We were so busy while we were there. It was like a whirlwind tour. All right. Pretty cool. And this is the lobby again. And we ordered this cheese appetizer plate. And we ate it. And it was so filling, we just called it dinner. So all the food was so good here. This is downtown Amman. There's yours truly. And my wife got some lamb with this rice. Everything was so flavorful here. They eat really good in Jordan. And I had this chicken thing, and we had this dessert. It was like a date paste cake with vanilla ice cream, and we poured espresso on top of it. Oh, if I would have died at that moment, I would have died a happy man. And then my wife got room service one day. This is some more lamb. And after we left Amman, I hired a driver, and he took us on a 3-day tour. And we drove, the first place we stopped was Madaba, right here. So we came down. Amman's at about 3,000 foot elevation, give or take. And we came down to Madaba. I'm not sure where Madaba is, but it goes down quite a bit as you travel towards the Dead Sea. But this is Madaba. This is the site of the oldest church in Jordan. And I'm going to show you pictures of that. And as we got to Madaba, we stopped on the way and we got some Turkish coffee, which I forgot what they call it there. They call it their own coffee, but it's basically Turkish coffee. It's really good. It's very strong, and I think they normally drink it black. So it'll wake you up. It'll wake the dead, that's for sure. Okay, this is the street in Madaba. And Jordan is a predominantly Muslim country. There's, I think, like 10 to 12% Christians here, but mostly Muslim. And we went to this church. This is the oldest church in Jordan. It's the outside gate. And here's some pictures from the inside, some of the artwork. These are some of the people coming out of the graves after Jesus was resurrected. Some more artwork. I really like this one. Slay that dragon. And then these are the two angels. I don't remember whether this was Michael and this was Gabriel. I'll go back and forth. I think this was Michael and this is Gabriel, but I may have them backwards, but that's what they told us anyways. And then this is the church itself, and the church is known for this the mosaic that's built into the floor. And this is what's called the Akedah, I think is how you pronounce it. This is where Abraham was about to sacrifice his son Isaac. This picture of Jesus. And this is the floor, and this dates back to like 530 AD. So early Christians, I noticed what they did on all these holy sites is they would build a church. So they would erect a structure on all these places where major events in the Bible happen. So they would build a building on top of that site to mark it for future generations. And also, early Christians built this floor out of each tile is made of rock, and they're individually cut by an artist, and they're not colored. So these are natural colors of the stone that they've found, and then they've cut each piece and just put it together like a big puzzle. And so they made this map that is they've done what they could to make it to scale, but it is facing west. And you're looking at Jerusalem here on the left-hand side, and you're facing west, and you can kind of see the Dead Sea there. And I don't read Greek, sorry, but these are images I got. I didn't appreciate this church because it was the very first thing we saw. And as I saw all this, as we took our tour, over the 3 days that we were there, I wanted to go back and see this place again. I wish I took more pictures because this mosaic was awesome. And you can see on this picture, you can see the images of Jesus in the boat there, and the other disciples was destroyed by vandals. It used to be the entire floor of this church was this big mosaic, but parts have been destroyed over the years. And this is a picture of Jerusalem. And you can see on the right side there of the circle of Jerusalem, on the bottom right, you could see the temple. You could see the door there, and you could see the pinnacle of the temple. And the door is called the Nicanor Gate. And then if you back up towards where the camera lens is, that would be where the Mount of Olives is. So it faced directly towards the temple opening. And also on this picture, you can see that Jesus's images of the disciples and him are blurred out, basically. There's a close-up of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. And this is a image of this is a recreation of this mosaic where you can see the entire thing. It's really quite something. I keep going back to it now that after the fact, but that's Madaba. And the next place we're going to go is Mount Nebo. So we left Madaba and we drove up the mountains to Mount Nebo, and Mount Nebo overlooks all the promised lands. So this is where Moses died. He wasn't allowed to enter the promised land because if you remember that God told him, the people were complaining because Miriam just died and they needed water, and the rock, for whatever reason, wasn't giving water anymore. So God told Moses he was supposed to speak to the rock because he had already struck it once and water had come out. So this time he was supposed to speak to the rock and water would come out. And instead he struck it twice with the rod. And so God punished him by saying, "You're done. You will not enter the promised land." You'll see it from the top of Mount Nebo because it's a very high elevation. You can see all the promised land. It's really beautiful. And I'm going to show you pictures here. But this is where this happened. This is where Satan came down and argued with God over Moses' body, okay? Because it's very likely that Moses is one of the two witnesses, and his body will be needed for when he comes back during the tribulation to be Moses and Elijah. They're going to witness together for God when all the believers are gone. I'll show you pictures now. And I want to mention that when Moses, when he was supposed to speak to the rock instead of striking it again, that the rock is Jesus. Okay, the rock is a picture of Jesus. All right, he was the spiritual rock that followed them in the wilderness and gave them life-giving water. Okay, and so Jesus was only supposed to be crucified only once. He's not supposed to be crucified over and over and over. Okay, he came down from that cross. All right, so that was what happened there. But here is Mount Nebo. Show you all the pictures. It was really gorgeous. We're driving up right now, and we're going up in elevation. So beautiful. And then this is a church that was built on the very top of Mount Nebo to mark the spot. I'm going to pause. I'm going to show you a video here. This is looking northeast from Mount Nebo. And this is east. All right, this is another image of that church. This is looking down the mountain. And I'm kind of a rebel, so when we got there, we veered off the path we were supposed to be on. There wasn't a sign that said we couldn't, but that's but there was a dirt path off to the side. So my wife and I went down there to go exploring, and we found these ancient ruins of we found out it was a monastery that was built on the top of this mountain, and these are parts of it, but it was large. It was the entire top of the mountain was this big monastery. And my wife did this panoramic image, which is just beautiful. And then off to the right is the cafe and gift shop. It's just beautiful. And this is a megalithic stone for the peoples of the book, the Jews, Christians, and it says the Muslims. And it was erected by Pope John Paul II in 2000. And megalithic stones are very large stones, and they put this one here. I don't know if this one came from this spot and it was carved out in place, or whether it was already here. I don't know. But megalithic stones are typically very, very heavy stones, and they're typically cut and brought in from far away. And many of them, like the largest ones in Baalbek, Lebanon, weigh in the millions of pounds, and even modern construction equipment cannot lift it. So they don't even know how they cut them and how they moved them great distances in antiquity. But this one here was placed there in 2000 and carved. Sorry, I can't read Greek. And it says the Memorial of Moses, the Christian holy place. And my heart was absolutely singing when we were up there, because I know what happened on this mountain. This is where Moses died. This is where Satan came to contend for his body. This is where Moses saw the promised land. It was so neat to actually be at this real place. This is a representative stone that would cover a burial sepulcher. I'll zoom in here so you can read this. This is a rolling stone as a fortified door of a Byzantine monastery. And this is the ancient Roman road that led to Mount Nebo, where pilgrims would come to worship. Some pottery. These are oil lamps. So these are just like the oil lamps on the temple menorah. And you'll notice you pour the oil in the center, and then the flame comes out the side, not directly up. And the flames go towards the center of the menorah. And here's some a vessel of grape juice or wine. I take it back. They didn't use grape juice back then. They didn't have refrigerators. This is wine. There's lots of references to wine and new wine in the Bible, and those are prophetic. Jesus, he said he's not going to share the new wine with us until we're together with him in heaven. So he's waiting for that, and so are we. And here also there's references to oil. And what do you know? There's an olive tree on the top of Mount Nebo. Lots of them. Just beautiful. And this is the place where you're looking out over the Holy Land, and it shows you what direction you can see the different sites. So Moses was standing here looking out over the Holy Land right before he died. And Jerusalem's off in the distance. You can't really see it because it was kind of hazy that day. But you could see the Dead Sea. You could see Jericho. You could see the baptism site, which is not listed on here, but we'll get to that. And this is just looking just a little to the left. You can see the Dead Sea over there. And then the baptism site would be here. Then over here, Jericho and Gilgal. And then off in the distance would be Jerusalem. It's a little too hazy to see it today. But if you were standing here when Sodom and Gomorrah and in total, the 5 cities in the Valley of Siddim were destroyed by fire, it would be quite a show, because you could oversee the whole valley from this place. Here's yours truly. Some more plants. And this was at a shop down the road, just nearby, where they make mosaics, just like the one that was in the church in Madaba. And you can buy these. They're very expensive. If the smaller the pieces are, because they're all handmade, the more expensive it is. And this one is of the tree of life. And then this is just a representative picture of all the things around the Sea of Galilee that Jesus did. Some more pictures. This is more ruins of the monastery that was there. Ancient Roman columns. You'll find these same things are in Petra, and they're also in the real Mount Sinai, Jabal al-Lawz, down in Saudi, just like this. And here's the monument. And then you can see this is the way the stones looked before they built the modern church on it. And the brazen serpent was lifted up by Moses. And they had the fiery snakes. They were biting everybody. And he said he held up the pole with the serpent on it. The serpent was lifted up, and whoever looked at it would be healed. So it's a picture of Jesus, the Son of Man, being lifted up. And here's the postcard showing the stones the way they were. And then this is the modern sculpture and the way it looks today. It was so incredible to actually be there. So everybody knows John 3:16, but here's John 3:14 and 15. Just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the desert, the Son of Man must be lifted up, so that everyone who believes in him may have eternal life. Just beautiful. And when you stand on these steps right here, you can see everything. It's so gorgeous. I used to have that image on my laptop, and it's so nice to have seen it in real life. I'm going to pause here and show a quick video, and I'll be right back. This is looking north from Mount Nebo. Right underneath. And this is the last couple images of Mount Nebo. And here's another olive tree. They were beautiful. They were all over the place on the top of this mountain. Just gorgeous. All right, I hope you enjoyed your tour of Mount Nebo. We're going to move on.